One thing that has been progressively interesting to me over the years is how video games have become a bit more cinematic and frankly just the evolution of stories being told in video games. This could be because we feel more connected with the characters since we control them, or it could be that there is more time for character development than a 2-hour film. Nonetheless, today we are going to focus on the 15 best single-player story-driven games on the Xbox One as of 2020, and I did try to stick with Xbox One games rather than remasters or backwards compatible games. These games are cinematic, they boast fantastic characters and worlds to engross ourselves in, and most importantly, they're still fun to play. Now do keep in mind that this is only my opinion and yours may be completely different, and if that is the case, I would love to hear some of your favorites as well so we can all discover some new games together. With that said though, let's get right into the list. At number 15, I have Life is Strange, which was a breakout hit this generation. It is more of a point-and-click adventure game, but even then it does have a really nice art style to it with an interesting plot. At first, it just seems like any high school drama, but like the name implies, there is something strange that lurks in the town and school of Life is Strange. I think to me the characters themselves is one of the reasons that this game is so appealing though, with the main character Max, who is an aspiring photographer, discovers she can rewind time, which does make for a fun and mysterious game mechanic. It also helps that her friend's personality, Chloe, meshes just so well together with Max, but yes, if you're in the mood for a good story without all the action and shooting, then Life is Strange is a great choice. Kingdom Hearts 3 is an interesting one because even though I do think the story is quite simply fascinating, it's also a convoluted mess. Kingdom Hearts fans will understand what I mean by this, but it truly is a magical experience. I don't think one word describes the Kingdom Hearts franchise any better than that. It really is magical. I will say this though, if you do intend on playing Kingdom Hearts, you should probably play the Kingdom Hearts collection first, as they are all connected and you will be in for a wild ride. You will meet tons of memorable characters and you will be gripped from beginning to end. Now the thing is, Kingdom Hearts 3 in specific is a huge jump up in terms of production values over the other games, and the combat is a lot of fun. I honestly think any hardcore gamer should at least try this franchise at one point in their life. Obsidian is known for making some of the best RPGs among the industry, with not only fun RPG mechanics, but they are also excellent in terms of writing. The Outer Worlds is further proof of this, with a universe filled with intriguing characters, each with their own unique personality. See, in many ways, The Outer Worlds almost plays like a parody, and they're constantly poking fun at corporate culture. But it's these characters that you will come to love just so much. You yourself, though, the protagonist, will be able to impact the world in how you want to. Maybe you want to be a smart, reasonable person to fix everybody's problems, or if you want to be a dim-witted, snarky jerk, well, you can do that too. And because the writing is just so good, it's fun no matter how you decide to play this game. Now, if you do like The Outer Worlds though, I have 2 more games for you that you could try out, which would be Fallout 4, developed by Bethesda, and Pillars of Eternity, which is also developed by Obsidian Entertainment. A Plague's Tale is one of the more interesting games on this list, and frankly, I don't know of another game quite like it. A Plague's Tale is a stealth-based game of a young girl and her sick brother trying to survive during an epidemic. The thing is, for unknown reasons, not only do the rats try to kill you, but so do human enemies, and for this reason you must outwit your enemies and use the environment to your advantage. It's honestly quite fun, and we really don't have enough stealth-based games today, but it's the story that really stands out to me. The voice actors and actresses did a great job with this game, and the characters are portrayed realistically, which has the power to bring to surface all of your emotions. A Plague's Tale is proof that AA games are here to stay and can even compete with higher budget cinematic experiences with the right amount of love and passion. Hideo Kojima's last Metal Gear Solid ever, Metal Gear Solid 5, went out in a huge way, and while it could be viewed as pretentious with how much his name is kind of plastered across this game, I do think it's a great game nonetheless. Now, to be fair, I do not think it's the best Metal Gear game, But compared to other games in the industry, I still think Metal Gear Solid 5 is a brilliant game in its own way. It has some crazy cool villains and boss fights, the stealth-based mechanics are still the best in the industry, and you will be in store for some crazy twists along the way. I do think that if there is one game director that understands cinematic experiences though, it is Hideo Kojima, and truly does feel like you're living in a movie at times. The Gears games, in my opinion, are easily the best third-person shooters to ever be made. The shooting mechanics in these games are simply unrivaled with any other game, and that is the main reason why the multiplayer is just so phenomenal in Gears of War. But however, Gears 5 is actually a dual package, and that is almost unheard of in today's industry, but it's still true. Not only does it have one of the best multiplayer packages in the industry, but it also boasts an alluring campaign with a gripping story. I've always found the Gears stories to be interesting, and while some just view it as a bro shooter, I feel connected with the macho characters in these games, whether that be Marcus Phoenix or Kate Diaz. In Gears 5 though, you're starting to unravel the mystery of just who Kate Diaz is, and on top of that, Gears 5 looks absolutely stunning. If you happen to play this game on Xbox One X or PC, you're in for a treat in how good this game truly looks. It's almost criminal in how overlooked Control is, and this really has been an issue with Remedy Entertainment's games for a long time now. Yes, Control was developed by the same people who brought Xbox fans both Alan Wake and Quantum Break, but Control is arguably the best of all three. And this is especially evident with its gameplay, which has the protagonist as almost a superhuman, learning new abilities as time goes on, whether that be gliding through the air or creating a barrier out of rubble. And then the story is quite fascinating as well, as you unravel the secrets of this unworldly building, shifting entire environments, which is crazy cool to watch in motion, and there are plenty of supernatural aspects to this game, and everything is just so mysterious that you're going to want to learn more about it. Really, I think Control is the complete package here, and especially if you're playing this on Xbox One X, it looks really good. I've always felt that Final Fantasy XV got a bit of a bad rap, and I do understand that when it first launched it did have some minor issues in how the story was told, but Square Enix mostly fixed these issues by adding more story, the DLC, and how they developed side characters more, and I think Final Fantasy XV turned out to be one of my favorite stories of this generation. One thing that I'm always looking for when it comes to good stories is just how good of a chemistry does the characters have with one another. See, in so many games that I've played, the premise is really interesting, but there's just a lack of chemistry among the characters, and because of that, the game falls flat, or for me at the very least. But with Final Fantasy XV, you can really feel how the characters care and fight for one another. There's also a real sense of character growth with the protagonist, Noctis, and the ending really got to me in this game. I will also say that I love the world of Final Fantasy XV, and in fact, it's one of my favorite worlds to explore, and I do think the hack and slash combat is a lot of fun as well. Rise of the Tomb Raider certainly launched to a lot of controversy, with it being a timed exclusive for the Xbox One, but beyond all the noise came one of the best cinematic experiences of the entire generation. It does take heavy inspiration from the Uncharted franchise, which is amusing because Uncharted was originally inspired by Tomb Raider, so we went kind of full circle there, but it is very cinematic and is much more than just a third-person shooter. There is a lot of platforming to this game, several puzzles to solve, and even the combat is very diverse as you jump around, hang off cliffs, and even an occasional quick-time event for a change of pace. It's a lot of fun, and I think that Lara Croft in this game specifically shows why she is such a beloved mascot in gaming. Now do keep in mind that you can also play Tomb Raider the Definitive Edition as well as Shadow of the Tomb Raider on Xbox One, and both of those games are really good too. When I first played HELLBLADE, I was blown away. This is a AA game developed by a small team, and it feels as if you're playing a big game with a AAA budget. The facial animations in this game are crazy ridiculously good, and among the best I've seen in all video games. The actress here did a phenomenal job both in terms of acting as well as voice acting, and the story is dark, mysterious, and also it's uplifting. I know that last one may surprise a few people, but it has a heavy theme of mental issues in this game, and I've seen countless people talk about how this game has helped them through some of their own issues. So clearly, it's a game that has a huge impact on people. Something else about this game though is the sound effects, which are really well done, and if possible, I would recommend you play this one with a good pair of headphones. Now, I do want to note that this is a hack and slash game too, and it's not overly complex, but I personally think it is a lot of fun. Resident Evil 2 originally released way back in 1998, but here we are 22 years later, and it's still one of the best games of 2020. It kind of shows you just how good of a game it was back in 1998, but with the Resident Evil 2 remake, I think it has redefined what a remake can truly be. This is something we are seeing a lot here in recent years with remakes. We have games like Resident Evil 2, Final Fantasy VII, Crash Bandicoot, and Spyro the Dragon, all of these games with huge remakes that has been not only massively successful, but has shown why fans hold them in such high regard. And to see new players be introduced to these games for the first time and no longer be held back by technology is an absolute joy. Resident Evil 2 in specific is a fun survival horror game that almost plays like a Metroidvania, having you backtrack to reach previously unreachable destinations. The story is also alluring with memorable characters, but just make sure you're not going to be too scared. I will say this, I'm not really a big horror fan myself, but I do love Resident Evil 2, so keep that in mind. I don't think that these games are too scary, but it does take some time to get the courage to roam around. If you just want a good story, then look no further than Yakuza 0. I'll say this right now, I think Yakuza 0 has one of the best stories in not only gaming, but movies and books as well. Yes, it truly is that good. Yakuza 0 only has Japanese subtitles, which may be intimidating for certain consumers, but do not let that scare you from playing this game because you will quickly get used to reading these subtitles, and you're going to have a hard time putting the controller down once it hooks you. And I know this game looks a little goofy at times, and certain aspects with the gameplay are, including the dancing, several mini-games, and even the combat itself, though I will say all of that is fun as well. The story though is super serious, which will probably have you crying your eyes out on multiple occasions. I'm telling you, it would be a crime to not play this game if you want a good story. Again though, the gameplay is a lot of fun too with its beat 'em up style combat, light RPG mechanics, a ton of minigames to play, and it's also extremely atmospheric with 1980s Japan. You will truly feel as if you're in Japan. On multiple occasions, I have referred to Nier Automata as a masterpiece, and every time that I've said that, I have meant it. This is actually one of my favorite games to ever be made, and for multiple reasons. To start off, the story itself is brilliant, though you will need to complete the game at least 3 separate times because when you reach the end credits, the game is actually not over. The second playthrough has you playing a different character, and the same can be said for the third playthrough. And though the second is kinda similar to the first, the third will however blow your mind. Added to that, the hack and slash combat is a lot of fun, and I love the music in this game. In fact, the first time that you see the village in Nier Automata with the parade-like atmosphere, it is one of my favorite moments in all of video games. So yes, Nier Automata, I truly believe, is a masterpiece and a must-play game. And speaking of masterpieces, these next 2 games can also be described in much of the same way, starting off with Red Dead Redemption 2. While yes, I do think that Red Dead Redemption 2 is a little too slow-paced for some people, as almost everything in this game is animated, and that isn't always necessarily fun, it is however a huge achievement in gaming and highly impressive. I'm also not really a big fan of the lock-on shooting mechanic, but Red Dead Redemption 2 has a huge world. It is a big open world game with a lot to do. The story and its characters are incredible, and you know that is the thing about Red Dead Redemption 2 that surprised me the most. A lot of the time when you have these big open world games, they make certain sacrifices, but Red Dead Redemption 2 seems to prove that theory wrong. Granted, it had like 2,000 developers working on this game, but I do think it goes down as one of the best games of the decade. And number 1 goes to none other than The Witcher 3, and in my opinion, it's probably the best RPG that I've ever personally played. CD Projekt Red managed to not only make an engrossing world to explore, but a story that captivates the imagination with well thought out characters and enemies, and even the side story somehow manages to be better than other games' full stories. I don't know how that's possible, but it truly is. You also can have a direct impact on the world because yes, it is an RPG that has multiple endings, and when you would think I would have no more praise for this game, CD Projekt Red then made high-quality DLC expansions on top of all that. I also like the combat a lot in this game. It's very different than other games in how it works, but you use signs to either buff your character or to apply some light magical offense. But yes, The Witcher 3 is a must-play game and goes down as one of the greatest games to ever be made. Anyways though, that's it for this video, but if I didn't mention any game that you feel deserves to be on this list, let me know in the comments below. There are plenty of games that I didn't get to talk about in this video that I really enjoy, but I want to hear your thoughts as well, so let me and others know. But with that said, if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Peace out.